Conley Davis tract is what you're speaking on? Yeah.
Make sure we have everything for the same. Okay. Is there boards there right there? Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call to order the July 2022 Board of Adjustment and Planning and Zoning for Bryan County. Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes for June?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? No? May we have a motion to pass those minutes?
Make a motion the minutes be passed.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Passes. May we have a motion to open the Board of Adjustment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And I do believe that we need a motion then to open the hearing for the first item.
Oh, sorry, yes.
I make the motion
Thank
to
you.
open the hearing for item V371-22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, Amanda, thank you.
So this first item, this is the request that was submitted on behalf of CRG by Thomas and Hutton Engineering. This request was for a reduction to the required buffer for the industrial tract when adjacent to an A5 agricultural zoning district. This property is located at 2008 Interstate Center Boulevard and is currently zoned I-2. Now, we presented this item to you at your meeting last month. At that meeting, we reported on the facts, which includes the location of an existing drainage canal that sits on that northwestern side of the property. And we also talked about how staff was working with the applicant to try to obtain easements that are necessary in order to continue the county-maintained access. And we talked about how that in fact impacts how we consider the variance or where we measure that buffer from. So at your meeting last month, we did request deferral. These conditions came to our attention through the review of their application, and we knew that we needed to continue working on those items to understand it better in order to be able to present it. We, at your vote and motion, you did defer it to this meeting. We have continued to try to work with the applicant through Thomas and Hutton Engineering, but that has taken longer than what we originally anticipated. So staff is requesting, and I believe along with the applicant as well, that it be deferred for at least one more month. I don't know if there's anybody here with Thomas and Hutton who wants to speak on that, but that is what we would request at this time, and that would be our recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Is the representative from Thomas and Hutton here to speak? No. Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to close this public hearing.
Do we need to?
Oh, sorry.
Do we
Do I have
I'm sorry,
discussion?
Do we need to offer for anyone else to speak?
Oh,
for or
yes,
against?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yes, that would probably be nice.
Is this the?
Oh, are you from Thomas and Hutton?
I am.
Okay, did you swim here?
What's that?
Did you swim here?
Pretty much. Yes.
Well, let's give you a minute to get settled. We just had Amanda speak. Is there anything that you would like to say on behalf of the project? She had asked for deferral.
CRG,
Oh, CRG.
defer.
Yes. Please say yes.
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay, so good with that? Okay, thank you. And I have no speaker slips for this item, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against? No? Okay, we're good. Thank you, Joe. Keep me in line. And so with that, now I'd like to take a motion, please, to close this public hearing.
Alex made the motion, I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we need a motion for if we would like to defer this.
Make a motion to defer.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion so passes. Make a motion, we need a motion, please, to open public hearing for number 373-22.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Sarah?
So this is a variance application for a property located on Highway 144 north of Bryan Fisherman's Co-op. The property is zoned RR1 and is 2.7 acres. It's currently vacant, but the owner is planning to place a single-family home and an accessory structure on the lot, and they are requesting a side and rear setback variance for the accessory structure only to allow for a 10-foot setback both on the side and rear. The required setback is 35 feet on the side and 50 feet on the rear. In terms of the variance criteria, the applicant identified access to the accessory building as shown on that lot there, and the placement of the trees on the property as hardships. And that area is sort of highlighted a little bit there where those trees are located. They also indicated they were not aware of these setback requirements when purchasing the property. Staff applies the same setbacks to all properties based on zoning, so this wouldn't be a hardship. And while staff does encourage maintaining these existing trees, the large lot could likely accommodate this accessory building while meeting setback requirements. One option may be to move that single-family home a little closer to the front and move that structure over there where the trees don't exist. The applicant did point out that the shop will be minimally visible, and they believe it would meet the intent of the ordinance. However, staff identified that these setbacks are really meant to maintain rural character in these areas. And so with the lack of hardship, staff doesn't believe it would meet the ordinance. So staff is recommending denial of the variance, and I can answer any questions you may have.
There's a home currently or being built?
They're going to construct a home on the
Construct,
property.
okay.
They'll have to get a permit for it,
Okay.
yes. Any additional questions?
Any questions? Okay. Do we have anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Is the homeowner here?
Yeah, I am, but I mean,
Okay, would you like to come up and speak?
it's all kind of been laid out there, the accessibility of it, the concerns on putting it and why we want to put it there. Just if we can get.
If you would like to speak, if you'll come up, sorry.
I mean, if it's being denied, I don't have much to speak about.
Well, no, come state your case, come on.
I mean, for the most part, that's what it is.
So if you'll just state your name and your address, or your soon-to-be address. Thank you.
It's the partial number, which I don't know off the top of my head, but
That's fine. And what's your name?
Daniel Crawford.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of laid out, the trees, obviously moving. It's a 3-acre lot, jamming everything together in the middle isn't the most ideal thing. We would like to push it as far back as we can to that corner. If it's not, we don't get within the 10 foot that we would like. If we can get something, we'll take it. If nothing, then it's nothing. We are kind of limited on options, drain fields, accessibility, and just kind of where we're going to place it and put it. So, for the most part, where we're at with it.
So there are currently trees that would have to
Correct.
come down in order to, are those pine trees? What type of trees, do you know?
Oak trees.
Oak tree.
Oak trees. So we definitely want to keep them. It's a storage building. Putting a camper in, it's a 40-foot camper.
Okay.
Being able to get that into a building, a boat into the building, and jumping it all the way into the middle of the yard just kind of makes things kind of crazy. But that's the bulk of it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank
That
you.
wasn't so bad.
No.
Was it? We're just all neighbors here. That's what I tell people. The only difference between us and you is we have a little more comfortable chairs tonight. So no one feel uncomfortable coming to speak to us. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience? I don't have any speaker slips for it, but that would like to speak for or against this item? No? Okay. Well, with that, I'll take a motion to close this public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have a motion for this item?
Okay, motion to deny.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to deny, a second for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Variance is denied. And now we'll take a motion, please, to open public hearing for item 374-22.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So this is an application for a rear setback variance for a property located on, apologies, 395 Sunbury Drive. This is located in the Dunham Marsh neighborhood and is zone PD. There's currently a home on it with a back patio highlighted in yellow there. The applicant is requesting the setback reduction in order to enclose that patio. So currently, since it's an at-grade slab, it's permitted to encroach into that setback, but once they enclose it, it's not. So they're requesting a setback of 15.5 feet to allow them to enclose that existing space. The applicant indicated their hardship as, again, this is an existing patio that they'll be using. If they were to have to create a new one, it would really require them to create a new door and do it on the side, since it's that corner lot and the shape of that lot where the house is set. Staff does find this to be a hardship due to the location of that existing home and creating that limited backyard, which is unusual in the neighborhood. Additionally, more coverage of the lot may impact drainage and other issues within the neighborhood. And so based on the hardships and this request consistency with the ordinance, staff is recommending approval, and I can answer any questions you may have.
So how much is the actual reduction that they're asking for? Is it just?
It's a
4.5?
4.5 foot reduction.
Does anyone have any more questions for Sarah? No? Okay, thank you. Is the homeowner here? And if so, would they like to speak?
I'm representing.
Okay, our representative, sure. Come on, if you'll just speak, say your name.
Sure, my name's Tom Collins. I'm from the company that's doing the work. It's a
Okay.
4.5-foot setback. The setback is 20 feet. It will be 15.5 feet from the structure to the rear property line. So it's a 4.5-foot setback request and variance.
Okay.
Not, and that's it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Can you describe what the work there?
It's going to be a
is?
screen room.
It will be screened? It
Yes.
won't be-
No, it won't be a
won't be
closed-in
heated and
structure.
cooled?
No.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Is the property under any kind of HOA?
Yes, it's approved.
Okay, you answered my question.
Any others?
No?
No, thank you. Okay, guys. With that, may we have a motion to please close this public hearing?
Make a motion to close the hearing.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have a motion for item 374-22?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Variance is passed. Okay, we need to have a motion, please, to open the Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing.
So made.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Oh, sorry, open the first item. Thank you, guys. 5:30 a.m. I go to work. Keep up. Do we have a motion, please, to open the public hearing for item 181-22? Okay,
Second.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're in public hearing. Sarah?
So this is a conditional use application for 525 Kelsall Drive, which is located in the Strathy Hall neighborhood and zoned R15. They're requesting this for a home service business, a bakery, which you've seen previously in other locations. The applicant will be obtaining a cottage food license and selling baked goods. Customers will pre-order everything and just come to the house to pick up. And it will take place during daytime business hours. And so the applicant's property is actually surrounded on two sides by a common area as well, so it shouldn't have an impact on the neighbors. And staff did find that all standards were met for the home occupation and home service business requirements. And I can answer any questions you might have.
Are there samples?
There are not any. We should make that a requirement.
They did, yes,
It
yes.
should.
Sarah, I have a question,
Sure.
because I don't have this pulled up. Mike and the other people at Environmental Health,
Yes.
they approved this
Yes, he was at the
beforehand?
DRC meeting and he didn't
Okay.
have any concerns.
Perfect, no issues, perfect. Okay. Any other questions for Sarah? No? Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here? Would you like to come and speak? No? We're kidding with you. Thank you.
I would like to ask the applicant, if you don't mind coming, I do have a question. And that only just concerns like traffic. I know when we've been presented with similar issues like this in the past, the applicant said, well, here's my pickup procedure. People call
Yes.
ahead, they stop by, get, and they're gone. Do you have a idea of how that will work for your intended use?
Well, normal business hours, nothing after, I think I said between 4 and 5, between 10, my hours are gonna be from 10 to 5.
Right.
Everything is gonna be pickup and delivery, just as I stated,
Okay.
in my application.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
But you don't anticipate any excessive traffic?
No,
or
sir.
anything?
No, sir. And it's already been approved by our HOA as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. That's
Mhm.
great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've heard from the applicant. Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak for or against in the audience that would not have filled out a speaker slip already? Okay. Any other questions? All right. With that, we'll take a motion, please, to close this public hearing.
Make a motion.
No question. You got a question?
Oh, no,
No, he made the motion.
I'll make, okay.
So we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have a motion for this item 181-22?
Motion to approve.
Okay, do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so passes. Did she hear me? Motion passed. Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I wanted to make sure you heard that. Okay. May we have a motion, please, to open public hearing for item 182-22?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're now in public hearing.
So this is another application for conditional use. This is for a church for property located on Black Creek Church Road that is zoned RR1. The applicant initially submitted this application in May, and staff did request some additional information, such as an updated survey and a more detailed concept plan, so staff could determine if requirements like setbacks, parking, etc. could be met on the site. The applicant did have in their initial proposal, they planned for a 30 by 60 foot building to accommodate approximately 20 to 30 people in their congregation. The applicant did provide this after the staff report was published, but I wanted to present it on here for them. Due to the limited information on their application as well as the site plan, staff couldn't determine if many of the conditions would be met, such as septic, being able to provide the lot coverage required, the tree canopy, what the traffic impacts might be. So staff is recommending a 1-month deferral to allow them to create a concept plan with these additional details in order to determine if these standards can be met on the site. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board? No? Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here? Are you Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Okay, would you like to come up and speak? Good evening.
Good evening.
If you'll just state your name and, are you the pastor of the church?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Had a hard time getting it with the weather and the traffic.
Thank you for being here.
All right. Well, anyway, as she already presented that, I'm the pastor of the New Church of Christ, Apostolic Faith in Elabelle, Georgia. And we plan to build a church on the site right here. This location and the size is 30 by 60. That's what we plans to build. If that doesn't fit, then we can scale it to fit that particular property there. So at the present time, all we have is what the survey provided for us. Then from there, we are going to the actual architecture drawing and all of that. And if we get the approval, or when we get the approval.
Mr. Brown, do you feel like the 1-month deferral will benefit you guys? Do you think that's enough time to get everything together that you need for the planning and zoning staff?
I would say yes, that we could have everything ready by then.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. And we have an excellent staff, so you know how to get in touch with them if you come across any roadblocks. They
Okay.
can guide you. Okay. Any
right.
questions for Pastor? No?
No, I've got a statement. I'm looking at the drawing, and it shows the dimensions, or at least it shows the setback lines, it doesn't show any dimensions. Is there any reason why your architect or planner, whoever put the sketch together, didn't include the distances on the boundary lines? There are none.
Well, from what I understand, there was 35 on each side.
Well, I understand the setback line. What I'm saying is the property lines don't show any dimensions.
I think that's what's being requested from staff, isn't it?
I'm not following that dimensions for as,
Well, normally you would have a bearing and a length of that, so that northern line and the eastern line along the highway, you'd have a bearing and a distance. The bearing is irrelative, but the distance could be pertinent to the request.
can I
Whoever
ask?
put this sketch together, I'm just saying, could you ask them to put the dimensions of the property lines on?
Yes.
That's what staff is requesting.
Okay,
One of the things staff is requesting.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You don't have to know architectural things, just, they've got you. You know the good book. You're good. They've got you. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the audience, I do not have any speaker slips for this, but is there anyone for or against this project? No? Okay. With that, may I have a motion, please, to close public hearing? Okay.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we need to take a motion, please, to, for item 182-22.
Make a motion for deferral.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item is deferred till next month. Okay, motion to open public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Do I need to make another motion to open this item? Or we're good?
I think we just did.
I believe that was the motion that was just taken.
Okay, we're
Got
good.
that.
Thank you.
And then one thing,
I have a question before we get started. Will
Yes.
this cover both items 3 and 4 together, or will we do those?
yep, thank you for pointing that out. So we'll consider the motion that was just made to open the public hearing, and we'll proceed with our presentation for items 3 and 4 because these are associated items. It's difficult to talk about one without the other. Then once we close the public hearing, we would just ask that you make 2 different motions, one for each request. So I believe we're good on the motion, so I'll go ahead and proceed.
Thank you.
So these applications have been submitted by Thomas & Hutton Engineering on behalf of Stravinsky Capital Management, LLC. The request is a 2-part request. The first one is for consideration of an amendment to the comprehensive plan and that future land use map. And the second part of the request is for a zoning map amendment, where they're requesting to rezone the property from the A5 agricultural district to the I2 heavy industrial district. This is for approximately 554 acres. It sits on Warnell Farm Road and is comprised of 2 different parcels. For the record, those parcel identifiers are parcel number 028-030 and 028-027. So with this property, as we're looking at the comprehensive plan and the future land use map, you can see that this parcel is still identified as that low density and agricultural character. But it is adjacent to the industrial character that was part of a request that was heard and considered back in January of 2021. As we're looking at rezoning items, we always require that the future land use and the rezoning are consistent with one another. So anytime we have a request come through for a rezoning where it's not reflected as that character on that future land use map, we require that the 2 applications be considered. So that's the first part of the request for the comprehensive plan. Again, it's currently identified as low density and agricultural, so their specific request is to have that character reflected as industrial. The second part of the request is for the zoning map amendment. And so you can see based off of the current zoning map, the property is currently zoned A5, which is an agricultural district, and the requested zoning is I2, which is that heavy industrial district. And so as you can see from the map, this parcel is immediately adjacent to those other properties that have been rezoned for industrial use that are now a part of the North Bryan Industrial Development Region. And a couple of different things have been considered along with the future development of this industrial region. We have looked at regional traffic plans as well as regional water and sewer plans. And here recently in the last couple of months, the water and sewer plan was amended to consider the further expansion into areas which also encompass encompass this tract of land. So the extension of facilities has already been contemplated in order to provide for the development of this tract. So those are the things that staff generally looks at whenever we're looking at our staff report and recommendation, whether or not there are other master plans or approvals that supports the county or Board of Commissioners' vision for where growth is to occur. And for those reasons, staff's recommendation on this is to recommend approval. We do move that along, though, with some stated conditions that are also in your staff report. Now, the conditions, and I apologize, I jumped ahead of myself. I do want to go through the concept plan that they provided as a part of their rezoning request. So we're talking about 554.84 acres. The concept plan that they have provided does show 5 separate buildings. These 5 buildings total 3.9 million square feet of space, and specifically we're looking at 3 access points onto Warnell Farm Road. It's envisioned that this traffic will then go out to Highway 80 in order to access those industrial corridors. So as we've looked at regional transportation improvements, we have also required that these individual sites also provide a traffic impact assessment in order to further determine what additional improvements would be needed to accommodate their development. And this is where staff's conditions come in on the rezoning. So they did submit that traffic impact assessment, which was reviewed by the county engineer. And with that, there were additional recommendations that were made. The recommendations are highlighted in your report, and the conditions that would accompany those are on page 101 of your packet. So the conditions that would carry through with the traffic impact assessment would be the need for a transportation agreement to be entered into with Bryan County, which should address dedication of right-of-way and or easements, along with traffic contributions based on the percentage impacts identified in the summary conclusion section of their TIA. The second condition is that all recommended improvements along US 80 shall be submitted to GDOT for review and approval, and all those improvements that they're required to comply with shall be constructed and accepted by GDOT prior to the issuance of their first CO, which is their certificate of occupancy. And then the third condition is all recommended improvements along Warnell Farms Road shall be submitted as part of the construction plan of review and approval process. So that is the staff report and the staff's recommendation. Again, the conditions would be specific to the zoning action, which would be the item 4 on your agenda.
So just to be clear, item 3, you are recommending approval, and item 4, you're recommending approval with these conditions?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep, we can't recommend approval on one without the other.
Okay.
We do have representation from Stravinsky Capital Management here. I have already incorporated the slides that they have submitted for you this evening, so
Thank you.
I will defer to them for the rest.
Thank you.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So when the traffic impact analysis is complete and these percentages and contributions are calculated, that's based on the entire tract, not building 1, building 2, building 3. It's not phased, it's...
So that's a great question for the county engineer. So I think the way that they've been looking at these transportation agreements is that the agreement encompasses the entire tract and the full build-out of development. Now, whether or not any contributions that they have to pay forward come as part of a phased development, I think that's all part of the agreement in determining that.
Okay, okay. All right. Is the applicant here?
I can kick us off.
Okay.
Sorry for my late arrival. I was not prepared for that first item, but I'm Jason Chambliss with Thomas and Hutton. We're the engineers on this project working for Stravinsky. There are other representatives here that I think are prepared to speak, but we've been working hand in hand with the county staff on this property. In addition to the ones around it, they've been extremely helpful working through the details on the transportation, the water and sewer. So a lot of those, the general framework has been worked out, and basically the expectation on this parcel is it'll just plug into the systems we've already put in place as far as those water and sewer improvements and the transportation improvements. So we're grateful for the assistance and excited to move this property forward, hopefully. But with that, okay, I'm not sure who had the presentation there.
Okay.
If we had.
Does anyone?
Greg, did you want to speak?
Yep.
My name is Gregory Potter. I'm a representative of Stravinsky Capital Management. We would like to thank the Planning and Zoning Commission for considering our request. I had a very brief presentation with a little bit of history of our company. Very simple. We build specialty warehouses, that sort of thing. Founded in 1978. It's a family-owned company. Like I said, we specialize in high-end industrial facilities. We construct, develop, and own several million square feet of what we develop. And that is our business model. I have just a couple, several examples, and I know that this is premature, but it shows what we do. One of the things that we do is, the top photo there is a rendering presentation of what we were proposing when we get to that phase. And then the lower photo is the actual building that was built. So I think the intent here is to show when we say that we're going to do something, we do it. We have varied architectural styles. You can see modern, a few facilities in California. Here, this is a couple facilities, or a representation rendering, and then the actual building that was built. This is in Port Wentworth, and additionally, a second building in Port Wentworth, the rendering that was provided and the actual building that was built. Better back up here. The whole intent of my presentation is to show you that we do what we say, we take pride in what we do, and we also take ownership of what we do. So I yield to you in your decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? No. Thank you. Do we have, make sure I don't have any speaker slips. Do we have anyone, I only had a speaker slip from Mr. Potter. Do we have anyone here to speak for or against this that was in the audience that did not fill out a speaker slip? No? Okay. With that, may we have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we're going to take two separate motions. First, on number 3, under planning and zoning. Do we have a motion for that item?
Make a motion to approve item 3 under planning and zoning.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so passes. May we have a motion for item 4 under planning and zoning?
Make a motion to approve item 4 under planning and zoning with the recommendations put forward by staff.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion so passes. May we have a motion to, yes, if anyone that, I'll give everybody a moment if anyone needs to step out that's already, let you guys go. Thank you for being here. May we have a motion, please, to open public hearing?
Before we go
Oh, I'm
there,
sorry, I'm
will
sorry.
these be combined items as well?
They will be.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we open the public hearing for items 5 and 6.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're in public hearing. Amanda?
So this request is the request that was submitted by Steve Croy with Silverman Land Holdings LLC. This relates to what has been referred to as the Davis and Conley tracts. So these are 2 tracts of land that were rezoned for industrial use in January of 2021. They were rezoned along with adjacent parcels, and as a part of that rezoning, they were conditioned to prohibit access to Eldora Road. So the nature of this request is to amend that condition because they are now seeking to be able to access Eldora Road. We presented this to you at your meeting last month, and at which time you did take public comment. You did hear some opposition, but ultimately the request was to defer the item into this meeting. And the goal of staff with the request for deferral was to afford the applicant additional time to see if they could work out something with the adjacent tract owners in order to be able to get that shared access out to Highway 80. Now, as of today, what I can say is I am aware that they have met with the adjacent tract owners. I do think that they have had some discussions about access and what would be adequate or not adequate. But we did not receive enough information to be able to, in time to be able to update our staff report and come to you with a recommendation based off of that information. But I do believe that there is representation here this evening, and our expectation is that the applicants will be able to address you with any progress that they have made or any limitations that they still see for your consideration. At that point in time, once you hear that, along with the public's comments, I think your options would be to either go ahead and act on any information that you have received to make a recommendation to be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners, or if what you hear from the applicant is that additional time to prepare information is still needed, we could always look at an option to defer again.
Okay. Any other questions for Amanda? Before I ask the applicant to come, we will have Mr. Croy here to speak. I will say we have a lot of speaker slips, so we're going to let Mr. Croy have a few minutes to speak if you would like to go first or last, but I think usually we'll have the applicant just to get out some information. Then I'll call you guys up one at a time by the speaker slips. We're going to do 3 minutes. If you need a little more time, we'll be lenient with that, but we'll do that one at a time. Anything that is addressed, or questions that are asked, please address it to the board. And then Mr. Croy, at the end, he'll take notes and kind of have those questions in mind, and we can bring him back up at the end. I know this is a lot of time, the first time people have spoken in front of a board, so I just always like to kind of let everyone know how that's going to work. Okay, so, I'm sorry.
With that, I do just want to add, we didn't have our time clock last month, but we do have it now. As it counts down, it will beep, so I don't want that to alarm anybody.
Okay, yes. But again, when it stops, finish your thought. You don't have to mute yourself. We don't have a mute button. So, okay, Mr. Croy, please come up if you wouldn't mind and state your business.
Thank you guys for letting us speak. I'm Steve Croy with the Silverman Land Holdings Company, and we're here to ask for an amendment for the condition on the non-access on Eldora Road. A little history to kind of go over as to why we're here. And I was actively involved in the whole rezoning of that 22 million square feet back in 2020, I guess it is now, time flies. But originally, there were some decisions made on assumptions. And those assumptions didn't come to fruition. And one of the biggest assumptions on why we're here today what we're having to do was that whoever bought the tract behind the Conley and Davis properties would wind up buying the Conley and Davis properties. And so they could work a road system where it worked for their property as well as these two tracts. Unfortunately, after negotiations with the Conleys and the other tract owners, they were not able to come to an agreement. And so basically what has occurred is we have two pieces of properties that are basically an island, and there's no access. So the only access is the one that's right in front of the property. In the last 3.5 months, myself, my engineer, and our team have worked diligently to try to work an access that would work out through the other property, and it's just not feasible. We've looked at it. There's no need to defer the decision because it just doesn't work. The road's not wide enough to assume an additional approximately 2 million square feet into the additional 3 million that they've got, and the way their roads are laid out, and with the guard gates and with the lack of room, you would have a severe stacking problem, not only on the interior road that would hamper our product, but our product's being moved out because we're at the very tail end. It would also cause a major issue on the Highway 80 side as the trucks are turning in to the neighboring properties. So what we're asking is to give us that road. The Conleys and the Davises, as y'all know, have lived in this community for over 200 years. That land has been in their property for over 200 years. And they have sat and watched all the land around them that got zoned in that original zoning haven't been sold, while theirs can't be sold because of this particular issue. So this is really the only remedy we got. Now, we do understand, and there has been discussions had, that Eldora Road is going to need to be improved and there's going to be cost associated with that improvement, which we're willing and able to pay more than our fair share to improve that road. But one thing I want you to consider when you consider this issue, Eldora Road, I guess we're what, a mile and 3/4 from the Bullitt County Road, Bullitt County line. If you go out there and look, there's a lot of traffic coming out of Bullitt County. Bullitt County is doing a lot of development north of where these properties are. And Bryan County really doesn't have any issues or any controls of what they do up there, but their traffic's going to be coming. So that road has got to be improved anyway. Our desire would be to pay our share of that improvement. There's other properties obviously on that road that you can see that is sitting as vacant agricultural land. It's not going to be that way forever. This has became an industrial corridor. Sometimes if you're fortunate in life, you become a victim of your success, and I think that's what's happened up here. You know, I was on the Development Authority for almost 18 years, and we worked very hard to bring industry to North Bryan, never having the thought that it was going to succeed like we did, but it is, and it's here. And at the end of the day, we've got two property owners that are basically landlocked, and you know, they are entitled to be able to market and get the proceeds and the benefits of their sale just like all the other properties. So we would ask that you would consider these points and give us the recommendation to go forward to speak with the county commissioners.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Floyd. All right, we'll begin with our speaker slips, and I believe it was Ms. Williams that needed to speak first. Is that correct? So, Ms. Williams, if you'll come up, even though I've said your name 3 times, if you'll just say your name into the microphone along with your address, please. And then, again, we'll do about 3 minutes.
My name is Deidre Williams. I live at 1347 Eldora Road. I have here a tract plat of our property from 1965. And it doesn't say that the Conleys own the property right next to me. So I don't know how they lived there for 200 years. But anyhow, it says Evelyn D. Schuman owned the property on both sides of us, and R.W. Schuman owned the property behind us, which the Conleys own now. I have voiced my disagreement and my concerns about this issue in the previous meetings. Since the last meeting, I have lost many hours of sleep and worried constantly about this situation. Was it right for our county commissioners to rezone the 2 parcels of land with industrial with adjacent properties which families are living on? I have spent the last month talking to hundreds of people in our area. All but one are in total agreement with me. This is completely wrong. You can't rezone property next to residential properties with protection clauses for the residents, then 18 months later try to have these clauses deleted. We, the residents of Eldora Road, have paid paid on our property taxes, and majority of us well over 40 years. Now, big industry and big lawyers won't have access to this newly rezoned land warehouse intended property, which was fought against by the residents of Eldora Road in the January 12th, 2021 meeting, but was rezoned regardless. I am appalled that we are even having this discussion. If the commissioners could find it in their hearts to do what each one of you know is right, then this would be the last time we, the residents of Eldora Road, would have to come out and voice our profound disagreements. We didn't want the property surrounding us to become industrialized. We didn't want a lot more traffic in our area, but things change as we grow, and I understand this. The intersection at 280 Eldora and Highway 80 is going to take some getting used to as it is. I beg of you, County Commissioners, to stand by the stipulations promised to the residents over and over again in that first meeting on January the 12th, 2021, that there would be no way access would be on Eldora Road. The Conley and Davis tract is not landlocked. I didn't,
It's okay.
y'all gotta give me way more time. I didn't make the statement that these developers would work together to gain access through the property owned by Blitzton Timberland LLC. So if the developers can't work out the original plan to have the entrance exit from Warnell Farms Road or Highway 80, I hereby request the rezoning be reversed back to its original state. This way, the said property will still be of some use with no industry traffic. I mean, with all of the growth in our area, it is totally absurd to have these two parcels of land for industrial use. Furthermore, the two tracts, the Conley and Davis, are, for the most part, lowlands. There isn't much that can be used. The natural branch runs through that property, ends up being a ditch/canal, which goes under Eldora Road close to Bell Road. This has to be taken out and bigger pipes put under the road. This natural branch needs to be cleaned out, widened, and deepened all the way to the river. If the county doesn't fix the existing problems which was promised in the 2021 meeting, how or why do you think my neighbors will believe any promises made by this group of men and women who are elected by our fellow citizens of Bryan County? After COVID ripped my life apart by taking my father, then 22 days later taking the life of my husband, I couldn't bring myself to having friends and neighbors help me by going door to door trying to get petitions signed in front of the Dollar General, Ken's IGA, and the Piggly Wiggly to talk to people face to face to get signatures. So again, I tell you, there are hundreds, if not thousands of people that are in total disagreement of the traffic on Eldora Road being impacted by industrial warehouses. I am weak from having COVID twice. I haven't the energy to stop each vehicle that drives by my house every morning and afternoon in their commute to ask them if they would like to be more inconvenienced by the traffic, at least tripling, just because two family-owned tracts of land want and expect to gain access to Eldora Road when clearly there are various other roads that should be used. I end by saying, I truly believe that each one of you strives to do what's best for the citizens of Bryan County on both ends, or you wouldn't serve us. I don't always like the changes that have to be made, but I also know for the hours that you put into our county is far more than you are paid. I am grateful for you. I am grateful for the outcome of this, no matter what is decided, because I have prayed and asked God, my Lord and Savior, to handle this situation for me. And my house is sitting, I don't know how to point to it, but,
So I believe your residence is right next to what's identified right now as Billy Road.
and so the access would be probably right there by my house, like 200 yards away from my front door.
Ms. Williams, thank you. I just want to make one clarification. We're the Planning and Zoning Commission. We will not make the final decision. We make a recommendation for this that then goes up to the county commissioners. And that meeting, if we so move to make a motion to approve or deny tonight, then that will be bumped to the county commissioners for final approval or deferral, or, denial. And that meeting would be when?
That meeting is the second Tuesday in August, so that would be August 9th.
Okay, got that. Okay, I just want to make clarification that whatever we decide tonight is not the final say. It's purely a recommendation when we get down to these planning and zoning items. Okay, thank you. Thanks again, Ms. Williams. Now I have, is it Ms. Lee? And again, just state your name and address. Thank you.
Everybody knows me as Starlee. My husband Gary and I live at 1118 Eldora Road, Ellaville. It's directly across from the Davis track, and I first want to say no hard feelings with the Davis and Conleys. I'm actually related to both families, but I've got to stand up for my property and my security and my family's security. We're really worried about the traffic. Is the road going to be widened? If so, how much of my property is going to be taken? Because I have a line of trees that's a barrier between my home and the road. If those trees are taken down, what's to keep an 18-wheeler to go right into my house? We live extremely close to the house. Their house is extremely close to the road. Like I said before, in last month's meeting, we have a high-functioning autistic grandson that loves to ride the buggy. My husband has to take him up and down the ditch on the road because every time he comes to Papa's house, I want to ride the buggy. That's his thing. Worried about the school bus. And, 18-wheelers can't stop on a dime. So we have a lot of kids that live on our road that drive, that get on the school bus. What kind of security measures are going to be taken for them? The road is very narrow. How is the school bus and an 18-wheeler going to pass each other safely on that road, or two 18-wheelers? Because it is too narrow of a road. Like I said, I'm all about growth. It has nothing to do with that. I'm all over it. It's I-16, 280, 80, but this is too close to my home. This is directly out my front door that this would be affecting. There's many times we go to pull in our driveway, we about get hit in the rear end, just pulling our own driveway. So when you increase 18-wheeler traffic, what's that going to do? That road, we already got a bad dip in that road close to Blitzton. You hit it, it bottoms out your car. It's been fixed many times by the county, but it keeps washing out. That road is just not capable to hold that kind of traffic up. And my husband spends time and money in our yard to make it beautiful. We spent money on a new driveway to get it where, it's a nice entrance, new roof on our house this week, just to make, our place nice. And to have it, kind of taken away from us is kind of hurting our feelings. We've been there a long time. My family's been on our property as long as the Conleys have been on their property. A long time. I'm fourth, fifth, sixth generation living there, and my son and his wife are buying the property next door to us. They close on Friday. So, now this is coming to their front door as well. And my mother is elderly. I worry about her traveling that road with all these semis. She even takes the back way to Pembroke to, because she works at the pharmacy, so she doesn't have to go through 16 and 280 now because of the truck traffic. So I just really ask that y'all think about the families that are on that road. And I did have a petition up, and I got about 71 signatures that agreed with me. So thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are you okay with us keeping? Do you want us to keep this? Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Wilson, Patricia Wilson. Again, just state your name and your address for the record into the microphone. Thank you.
My name is Patricia Wilson. I live at 1369 Eldora Road. My property backs up to the Conley track, and it's close to Willie Road. And I just want you guys to know that I vehemently oppose this amendment. This amendment was put in place during the 2021 meeting to protect the residents of Eldora Road. And like the representative said earlier, it was rezoned and done on a lot of assumptions. And it was assumptions that we argued against. We stated, well, what if this happens? What if you don't sell it altogether? What if this exact moment happens later? And here we are, okay? And I don't think it's fair that the residents of Eldora Road have to suffer because bad business decisions were made by landowners and companies. Assumptions shouldn't have been made. It should have been hammered down that this is what we were going to do and this is how it's going to work. And now here we are, and I feel like we're almost being victimized and stomped on because we are, lowly property owners. We're not companies that have millions of dollars, okay? I have 2 small children. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, okay? They go to Bryan County schools. They ride Bryan County school buses, and the last thing I want is something to happen to them. We have had vehicles end up in our front yard because of accidents on that road. And I just can't wrap my mind around having commercial truck traffic running up and down that road. I was at the 2021 meeting. I spoke against this at the 2021 meeting. That night was the night that my father went into ICU. He had COVID, and he passed away about 2 weeks later. Instead of taking my time to be on the phone with him and say goodbye, I was at a meeting opposing the land being rezoned. My father has always said, don't fall in love with the land that you live on. But right now, that land and the memories that are tied to that land are one of the only things that I have left of him. And I'm watching it slowly get taken away, step by step. I thank you so much for your consideration, and I really hope that that you guys consider what I've said. I also hope that the property owners and the companies try to find another way to make this work. I feel like more could be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Patricia S.H.A. Wilson. Mr. Carney, Wayne Carney. Mr. Carney, again, just state your name and address for the record.
This is Wayne Carney. I live on Eldora Road. There's a lot of craziness going on here. These guys say that they're an island. They're an island of their own making. Didn't you just hear them say that they sealed a deal for rezoning and didn't have access? So what gives them the right to now demand that we're going to turn over half of our front yards, put up with all the smoke and trucks and all that stuff going down through there? It's nice to talk about improving that road, but what are they going to be able to do to improve it? They're going to make it a multi-level? No. They're going to take everybody's front yard, probably 30, 40 feet of that, huh? Are they going to give us $30,000 an acre for that? So we're getting ripped off there. Let's see. How about all the trucks that will be coming in out of there? They said that we were victims of our own success last time. And I've been hunting high and low looking for our success. Everything around there's been bulldozed flat. Soon it's going to be covered with asphalt. They're going to have a bunch of sewage and flood waters and all that kind of stuff around, Nobody said anything about that. I warned them about that at that very first meeting, and I'm going to warn them again. That water's got to go somewhere, and it's got to come across my property. I have a motorcycle shop there, and way back years ago, I'm sure their engineers didn't care nothing about none of that, but that shop was, the desk was all the way up to the top of water. I was the one that forced them to put them big pipes under that road. Well, right now, when it gets a good wet season out there, the water behind my shop comes up to just about to my shop, even with them big pipes under the water. And if they think that I'm going to give up half of my property for them to be able to drain their truck oil and all the filth that's going to come off all that stuff down to my property, they got another thing coming. So, all them people that are back there talking about, how can we stop this? There's an old joke about all the body parts went into a fight over who were the boss. Think about that, because We're looking at the one that's the boss right now. We got sewage. Ain't we got enough warehouses around here? How many more warehouses are we gonna be happy with? They're already talking about not only on the other side of Eldora Road where Miss Dee Dee lives and all that, they're already talking to them about on the other side there, Davis Landing, or the Davises, and I think Williamson. You know, what are we gonna do? Pile up a bunch of warehouses over there? That stuff's gonna be right up there by my place, so. I ain't been able to see where we're victims of our own success. Ain't been able to find our success nowhere. The only ones that are having a success out of this is the people that are trying to sell that land and didn't have no proper planning going on it. And now these guys here, we let them come in there, I guess. We didn't let them come in there. We fought them to go in there, but now they're our neighbors. And what they're proving right now, after saying that there was never going to be any access on Eldora Road, they're proving to us right now that not only are they not going to be good neighbors, but they're going to be the worst neighbors that they can possibly be because they don't care anything about anybody else out there. They don't do it. So, like I said last time, if it's time to fight, we're going to fight. And I think I got some ammunition to fight with, so that's all I got to say. Good luck to y'all. Thank you.
Last speaker slip is Billy Conley. Mr. Conley, again, if you'll just name and address into the
Okay.
microphone for the record. Thank you, sir.
My name is Billy Conley. I live here in Bryan County since 1966, approximately 55, 56 years. I want to, first of all, thank you for allowing me to speak here tonight on behalf of the Conley and Davis family tracts of land. Our families have owned this land for close to 200 years now. It's not always been in the Conley name or the Davis name, but our forefathers were Schumans and Lanes, and they were my grandfather and grandmother and great-grandfather and great-grandmother. So we have been, the property has been in our families for close to 200 years. It's not been an easy decision for my family and the Davis family to sell our property to the land developers, but all the property around us has been sold, and we have been put in an island of land with no access to it other than the Eldora Road. If you look at the big picture of what's going on in this area, you can see that we are right in the middle of a development corridor. And it's not just a matter of if this is going to happen, but when it's going to happen, because it's here with the development of the new state Hyundai plant and all that's coming in around that. The access denial in the original zoning without the proper agreements and easements put in place has created an island of land that has severely affected the value of the Conley and Davis tract of property. It has caused us much delay in getting our properties sold. Our buyers have worked diligently to see if other access options are viable, but there isn't a viable option that will work for them and their development. They are aware that the Eldora Road will need improvement, and they're very willing to pay for that improvement of the Eldora Highway. The Conley and Davis families ask that you take these points into consideration and recommend approval of this removal of the non-access condition and the zoning of the Conley and Davis properties. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that, that is all the speaker slips that I was given. However, if there's anyone else that would like to say a minute or two, do I have anyone for or against? I'm going to call you up. I always make sure if people come in late. Sometimes people don't know, but absolutely, Mr. Croy. So with that, if there's no one left in the audience that would like to speak for or against the Conley and Davis tracts, Mr. Croy, if you would please come back up. I told you would give the applicant a second chance to respond to any concerns or questions. Thank you.
Well, my first comments would be, Mr. Chairman, is, you know, this isn't a rezoning issue. The property is rezoned, so it's going to be what it was rezoned to be. And I can tell you, in my 24 years experience, I've never had a situation like this, and I've developed a lot of stuff, and I've dealt with a lot of land. And I can also tell you that we did work as diligent as we could to make an assumption process work. The problem was we didn't have easements, we didn't have agreements in place that backed up the two properties working together, and then it becomes a whole different basket of issues. And to hold the Conley property and the Davis property harmful for something they had anything to do, we didn't assume anything. The Conleys and Davis didn't assume anything. They took the zoning as it was, and then we find out that there is not another access. So there is an island, and we do need Eldora Road. Now, with that being said, Eldora Road needs improvement with or without our project. I mean, you've heard everybody say the trucks that are coming down the road are an issue. Well, the road is getting a lot of transfer truck traffic now out of Bullitt County, which this board or the county commissioners don't have any control out of anyway. So we're going to need to fix the road. The road's going to be fixed. How that looks, there's engineers that do that. I'm not an engineer. But we do think it's a very valid question, just like the other landowners that say they're harmed, the Conleys and Davises, although their tracts are a lot bigger, they deserve the same rights as the other ones. And there is, without question, and if you need to ask any technical questions to my engineers, he can tell you how far we've gone to try to make this work. It's just because of the wetland structure on the other property, it's just not possible. And as far as neighbors, yes, we'll be good neighbors, but we have the rights as well as the individual homeowners, and we'll do everything we can to make our site work with our neighbor. And there will be other issues as the rest of that property up there develops. There's no question, and that's why I think getting in on the front part of this and working with the county and the staff as far as what those improvements are and what the capital assistance on our part will be to help the county push that schedule up and that critical path to get the road fixed, I think will be very beneficial, not only for us, but for everybody along that corridor that's coming through it. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Croy. Does anyone on the board have questions for Mr. Croy? Hold on one second.
I don't have a question, but I do want to clarify that when this came to us back in 2021 and went to the county commissioners, Mr. Croy, with all due respect, you did say that it's not a matter of rezoning, it's already been rezoned. However, it came to us with these conditions that these residents would not be affected, and that's why it was rezoned. So I think it's important to clarify that, yes, it's not a rezoning issue as it's being presented now, but it was approved because these folks were not going to be impacted. And so for us, I think it's important that when you're up here and you're saying, it's not a rezoning issue, it isn't, but we are back here again because they are going to be impacted.
Okay, so I'll answer that.
I just wanted to put that for the record because I think it's a bit duplicitous to say it's not a rezoning issue, it's something else.
So when it was rezoned with the access going through the property, the problem was there were steps that should have been followed after that comment. There should have been agreements between the property owners. There should have been right-of-way access defined, executed, and memorialized in those documents when it went for rezoning. Now, it wasn't done, but it wasn't the Conley and Davis's fault that it wasn't done.
Our fault either.
Well, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying we're trying to cure an issue that we have. And I hate it that that wasn't done because it would have clarified this because we want to get under construction. I mean, I wish the road that we were pushed to go out through would work because we were going to pay part of his road too. And the only reason we're not doing that, because that's a lot better for us to get speed to market, but it just physically will not work.
But do you realize that saying what you're saying now, had that been presented back then, we wouldn't even be here because it wouldn't have been approved?
Well, that was staff driven down to us, not us to staff. So that's our point. We're harmed here, not by our own doing. The Conleys haven't done anything. The Davises haven't done anything. They're trying to make this piece of property work, and it's not on the developers. I mean, I'm trying to buy their land for the purpose they're selling me to me for, and I can't do it because the way that amendment was done, and that's.
I understand.
I mean,
I wanted to clarify
So I
for
just
the
don't
record.
want to, I don't want you to think that the Conleys and the Davises
No.
are the bad guys here. We're just trying to work to a solution that should be available to us, which there's no solution. It ain't like there's a better one and a worse one. That's our only solution. I mean, not by their doing.
Thank you. I'm going, because I know this is a decision that will probably be made tonight, because we seem to be at a stalemate. So I see that I forgot your name. I'm going to have you come up and if anyone wants to rebuttal, we usually don't do this, but because this is such a big issue, we've deferred it, we're at a stalemate, I'm going to have, if you want to make another comment, I'm going to give you about 1 minute to come up, and let's please just respect the time of everybody. And I forgot your name, I apologize. Patricia, please come up.
Okay, so he said that there's already truck traffic on Eldora coming from Bullitt County, and that's just not accurate. There might be like residential, like people who drive trucks for a living, and they might have 1 or 2 semis coming up and down Eldora, but the amount of truck traffic that we would have if they put warehouses there would expand just hugely. The traffic that we have on Eldora right now that's coming from Bullitt County is commuter traffic of residents that live in Bullitt County going to I-16 to go to Savannah or Statesboro to where they work. Okay? It is not semi-truck traffic. It is not big truck traffic. The biggest things that we have coming down Eldora Road typically are school buses and, I don't know, tractors, like actual tractors. You know, I mean, it's STAR, right? Okay. Yeah, so STAR, and that's all I needed to add.
Thank you. Thank you, Patricia. And is that all from the okay. Again, just about 1 minute, please, just to respond, and then we're going to close the public hearing.
I'm agreeing with her. That road is a county road. It's 48,000 pounds. It's not supposed to have no tractor trailers on it, other than local stuff, okay? Now, one of the property owners, Mr. Chip Davis, I had a talk with him one morning, and he told me that they did have an agreement to have that road go through that adjacent property, but they didn't have it in writing. So here we are. They had a verbal agreement. They didn't have it in any kind of writing. They got the zoning changed, and like you said, you know, here, like you said, Miss Duran, I guess, that's what they got going on here. It's trickery. And as far as this lad here trying to make that property work for himself, if you don't have the zoning, if you don't have the access, all you got to do is put your hands in your pocket and walk away whistling a happy tune. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, with any discussion from the commissioner, questions?
I just make a couple of 2 or 3 statements, if you don't mind. And this is not in agreement with the rezoning, or I'm not for or against. This is not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to clarify a couple of items. One is, part of the problem is there's more than one developer involved, and there was a master plan that no longer exists, which is not the fault of the Conleys or the Davises. 2, and this may not be of much importance to most of you, but I was raised on a 40-acre farm in Mississippi, and that 40-acre farm is now under the Tombigbee Canal. And my point being, the Tennessee Valley Authority purchased it, and that was private property, piece of property I'd love to have today, but unfortunately progress is inevitable. And 3, several times there was mentions about $30,000 an acre for some additional right-of-way purchases. There's no way this committee or the county commissioners can determine that. It's bought, any additional right-of-way, if it's required, is bought at fair market value. So it may be 15, it may be 50. Nobody knows until you get a fair market value. And as the development improves, the fair market value goes up. And that's neither in favor of or against. It's just statements that are made to clarify some things.
Thank you, boys. Joe, anything? Alex? Okay. Michelle? Okay, Ms. Carswell. Again, I want to thank everybody. I know that's difficult, and this is a difficult situation, so I want to thank everyone, applicant, landowners, for being here. With that said, I'm going to ask to take a motion to close this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we are going to vote on items 5 and 6 separately. And again, before we take that vote, sorry, I'm probably breaking Robert's Rules of Orders. This body for the planning and zoning portion, is a recommendation. Then it goes up to the county commissioners. Does everybody understand that? Okay, a recommendation. So, with that being said, may I please have a motion on item 5? Someone's got to make a motion, please.
Because of personal involvement, I'm going to recuse myself from making a vote.
Question for Amanda.
My decision.
No, I understand that. In the case of 2 for, 2 against, would I have to make we've never had that.
We have not had that. In anticipation of that, I do think that we have written into your bylaws that the chairman can break a tie, but if you will give me 1 second.
Okay. We're going to hold this motion for one moment while Amanda, just on the chance that we do have a tie, since that we have one that's recusing. We have the even number of voters, and the chairman typically does not vote. We're just going to look at these bylaws.
Yeah, under your bylaws, under Article 4, and it is item 6, it says the chair shall only vote to break a tie vote.
Okay.
So if we are challenged with a 2-2 vote on the motion, you would be the tiebreaker.
We've not had that happen in a while, that it's a 2-2, so thanks, Royce, on that. So, no. So, again, need to, with Royce being recusing himself from this vote, we need one of the following or remaining 4 to please make a motion for item 5, the Conley track.
I will make a motion to amend rezoning case 237-20 to remove the condition which prohibits access to Eldora Road.
Okay, so Alex has made the motion to remove the condition. Do we have a second? So that motion, no one else is going to second that? Okay, so that motion fails.
That motion fails.
So I will now ask, will somebody please make a motion for the Conley track? The remaining 3.
I'll make a motion that we deny the application to remove the amendment to allow access to Eldora Road.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So with that motion passes. And now to item 6, the Davis track. May I please have a motion on that?
All right, I'll make a motion to amend the rezoning case 23820 to remove the amendment, or remove the condition which prohibits access to Eldora Road.
Do I have a second? No? So with that motion also fails. So we'll take a moment, and with the remaining 3, please make a motion for item 6.
I make a motion to deny the amendment for item 6.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So with that, That again will be bumped up to the county commissioners the second Tuesday in August, correct? Okay, so that again, everyone is welcome to go before commission. Of course, the applicant, the landowners, everyone, so. Now, okay, where are we? Nursing is much easier than this.
Other business.
Much easier.
So with that, we're under the other business item. Staff does not have any other business to present to you.
Okay, so with no other business, I would like to ask that someone make a motion that we close this hearing.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, adjourn. Second, all in favor? Close the,
Oh, we're not in.
no, we're not put to adjourn. You said it right, yeah. And Mr. Carswell has second. All in favor of adjourning?